Well, when you have plays going on in your normal life, you can't really watch Revolution right away, but better late than never, my friends. Here we are. I'm Zack, of course, and believe it or not, here in the ZNT Wrestling Show, Tomas is here. He showed up. I was like, who the heck are you, and where have you put Tomas?
Do not adjust your camera. This is me, unfortunately. I've lost my beard. And it's been a minute since we've gone to review a wrestling show, so I'm really excited to be looking at this. This is our first AEW show in a while too, and oh boy, fasten your seatbelts, AEW fans. I'm going to kind of shit on your precious little promotion here.
No,
your show. I have a lot of nice things about to say this pay-per-view. There was a lot of great things on this pay-per-view, but there's going to be a couple of times where I'm going to say, yeah, but, you know.
What he's saying is this is going to be a troll session, basically. But
basically, yeah.
Oh yeah, you gotta love it, my friends. Hey, if you guys enjoy wrestling content like this, if you enjoy discussing wrestling and all that stuff, we also are going to be discussing the most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history next month. Doesn't really look stupendous at all to me, but hit that subscribe button as hard as you possibly can. We're somehow, some way, very, very close to 1,000 over here. And smash that thumbs up button as well. That would be tremendous help. But I will let you...
Going into this, yeah, this is still my favorite time of the year. It's WrestleMania season, so we're going to be talking about a lot of things WrestleMania. And like we were discussing earlier, I already have my traditions all kind of set in place. Looking forward to that weekend, and it's going to be just about a year until we get to go to WrestleMania ourselves in Los Angeles. That's going to be really fun.
That's true. WrestleMania number 2 for us. So, with that said, we did have three buy-in matches, which Tomas did not watch. I will go ahead and quickly recap. We did see legit Leyla Hirsch versus Kris Statlander in a pretty basic women's match, all things considered. There were some pretty nice little flippy-dee-doo-dah spots from Leyla Hirsch, who is being positioned as the new number 1 contender for right now, as it was stated by Tony Schiavone later on in the program. And Leyla Hirsch will be taking on Thunder Rosa in a Women's World Title Eliminator on Dynamite at the time of recording.
That issue number 1. How the hell do they decide stuff like this? When's the last time you've seen Leyla Hirsch on Dynamite? And then, I'm sorry, I forgot. I don't watch
Dark Elevation
channel. I don't watch the 3 YouTube shows AEW expects you to keep on top of Dynamite and all the other wrestling shows that are out there right now.
Well, with NXT 2.0 and NXT Level Up, they have something to say about that too.
So. Exactly, and that's another issue that I have. Everyone's saying, "Oh, WWE oversaturates everybody with too much wrestling content every week." I'm like, so AEW's 3 YouTube shows, those aren't. You really expect? Seriously, do you really expect us to keep up with that too? Because you stack that on top of Raw, SmackDown, NXT 2.0, Impact, Ring of Honor that was just acquired
Ring of Honor,
AEW Dynamite, AEW Rampage, AEW Dark Elevation. Like, you're not helping with the oversaturation of the product, AEW.
No, Tony Khan's new baby, Ring of Honor, by the way, which he did announce on last Wednesday's show, which is a really, really exciting announcement. And he actually kind of took a dig at WWE and saying, "There's no Shane. There's no Shane. It's me." So I'm like, I mean, the dig at WWE was kind of unnecessary, but I get why he did it.
Also, Ring of Honor is being announced as the new developmental ground for AEW. Yep. And the first thing I thought of was that scene from Megamind where the one red-haired guy, he saves everybody and they say, "I'm saved," and he goes, "I wouldn't say saved, I would say under new management." So
God damn.
Let's see where we go with that. Looks like Jay Lethal's going to be going right back to Ring of Honor.
God damn, it's been a while since I saw that movie Megamind, and now I want to go back and rewatch it now. So
Ring of Honor also announced they'll be doing Death Before Dishonor, I think WrestleMania weekend. They're going to be running that show.
There you go.
So it's cool. We'll see what's going on with that. That's beside the point. Leyla Hirsch has turned heel at this point. I mean, I don't see why not. They're doing anything. They're not really doing anything else with her. And if they could actually build her up to be, pun intended, legit, this was really good because I see here that she defeated Kris Statlander.
She did by pinfall, hitting a nice flippy finisher on her. And that was pretty much it. Pretty basic match to put over Leyla Hirsch. But the match after this was a lot more eventful in my eyes. QT Marshall comes out. He cuts a really, really annoying promo as only he can. So what do? They send Hook out there to kill him. And the crowd was so behind Hook. And this is kind of weird for me because Hook is full-blown babyface right here, right? The crowd is... There's so many send Hook shirts in this crowd over here. But then you look at Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks, and they're both very heelish, and they're all in the same stable. Like,
all I have to say about that is it's only a matter of time before Hook turns on Daddy and he goes off and do his own thing, because I don't think they were expecting him to get this over. And unlike Dominic Mysterio, I think Hook does not need to be attached at his dad's hip. And I think if they let him, they let him go after a little. Don't do it right away. Don't do it right away. But after a while, let him get some wins under his belt. Let him continue on this, absolute tear that he's going on right now. And I think it'll be okay to let go of the hand. I like what they're doing with Hook here.
I see what you did there, by the way, with Absolute, and one of his teammates is Absolute, as a matter of fact. Yep. But, this was actually a fairly fun match. Better than I was expecting out of a QT Marshall match, to be honest. And no, I'm not going to pronounce his name like he does, because that's stupid.
Marshall?
QT Marshall, get out of here. Hook was suplexing this poor bloke all over the ring. He locks in the red rum, backwards for murder, which is a reference to The Shining, of course, one of my favorite horror films of all time, which is basically just his dad's finisher, just renamed. It's the Taz Mission turned into the red rum, and Hook defeats QT Marshall by submission. It's a good little match. It's very fun to hear the crowd cheer for Hook this whole time, but This next match on the buy-in is actually one that I recommend to all of you. It's that 6-man tag team match between the House of Black, Malachi Black, of course, your leader, Brody King, and the newly debuted... let's talk about the House of Black real quick.
Let's talk about some new talent that AEW has acquired.
Yes.
Throughout these past couple months, Malachi Black has been teasing the House of Black. We all saw Brody King coming. They are the tag team champions in PWG. They have been on a tear on the indie scene, so it only made sense. And with Ring of Honor in its hiatus, King needed to find a new home. King and Black are now on AEW. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. They're renamed the Kings of the Black Throne, which is probably the most clever team name I've ever heard in pro wrestling right now. They were teasing a third member to come in, and I will give Malachi Black all the credit in the world for having continuity in his own career, acquiring Buddy Matthews. And if all of you don't remember, Buddy Matthews is the guy who originally injured Malachi Black's eye in WWE back in 2020, back when they were in the Performance Center. So props to Malachi Black for continuing to make that eye part of his character, for tweeting Buddy Matthews saying, "I have not forgotten about what you've done to my eye." And then this nice little, I'm going to say it just to foreshadow, this nice little swerve that Matthews was brought into AEW to be Malachi Black's partner. So I thought that was really cool continuity right there. On the Death Triangle side, Pac had just come back after an injury where Malachi Black sprayed the black mist in his eyes. Penta was also taken out by the House of Black. He has been re-debuted as Penta Dark, as he's best known for being on Impact Wrestling as the Impact World Champion. And they acquired, since Ray Fenix is still on the show with his own injury, they acquired finally Erick Redbeard, also known as Erick Rowan,
the Vintner,
family of the Wyatt family, formerly known in WWE for carrying around a wooden crate with a spider in it for 6 months for God knows what reason.
I can't wait for him to start carrying around a tarantula to the ring like Victoria used to do in Impact. But so basically Pac recruits Pac basically brings in the Vintner to even the odds, even though he has a former Impact World Champion on his team. The Vintner was a lot better in this match than I've ever seen him. He looked fired up to be there, making his debut for All Elite Wrestling.
I've always defended Redbeard in WWE. I always thought I know Brody Lee was always considered the more talented of the two, but I always saw potential in Redbeard. But I just feel like he wasn't able to be given that push until they gave him that singles push with the tarantula when he was absolutely squashing everybody. but
Mm-hmm.
he fell victim to WWE. He fell victim to the roster cut. And now here he is on AEW. And this is one pickup. Him and Matthews, I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with him because they were debuted in factions.
Yes. They certainly were. Buddy Matthews was a part of Seth Rollins' Messiah stable a couple of years ago, which was a great little I still miss that stable, man. Seth Rollins and Buddy Matthews and the Authors of Pain. That was great. But with that said, there was a lot of really beautiful wrestling. Buddy Matthews and Penta Oscuro is a match I never knew I needed ever in my life. It was such a beautiful sequence of pro wrestling there. Pac gets in there. He gets his licks in. Malachi Black, of course, is throwing kicks all over the ring. Brody King and the Vintner get in there, and they have this really vicious hoss fight. They're just ramming into each other. I mean, it's a wild six-man tag match. It was really, really solid wrestling for the most part. But basically, Malachi Black pins Erick Redbeard in this after spraying the vintage dreaded black mist into the face of Redbeard, and that was it. I don't think he hit the black mass after it, but it was very fun. The crowd was very much into it. But, I mean, if I were to rate any of these matches, I mean, definitely check out the six-man tag on the buy-in if you missed it. The hook match is pretty fun. I mean, it's not like any other hook match you've ever seen, but other than that, we get to the main show, Tomas, and this is a loaded card. Jim Ross, Excalibur, and Tony Schiavone welcome you, of course. Great commentary team. Can't put them over enough.
Here we go. I will admit I missed Dynamite for the past few weeks, so I didn't even see how this rivalry kind of started. But I knew when they were planting the seeds for it, but it's Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho. The fun thing about this match is it feels like Jericho is very much playing the heel on this. And I feel like he was here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to put over Eddie Kingston. I think Jericho is finally at that point in his career, especially in AEW, where he needs to be putting over these, I don't want to say younger because I know Kingston's getting up there too, but there's one thing we can say about Eddie right now. He's white hot as a babyface. I know AEW wanted him to turn back into a heel, but he's too fucking over with the crowd to do that right now. And quite frankly, I think it's still going to be too soon, like for the foreseeable future, to have Kingston be heel again. Somebody asked me online who was playing the heel in this rivalry, and that was easy. It was Jericho. In the promos, Jericho obviously. Jericho has been coming off as the privileged white veteran, telling Kingston that he will never get over in this business, calling him a common street thug. And Eddie is so over with the crowd, you can't help but cheer for the underdog. And that was probably the best dynamic of this match. I will say this right now. I like this a lot more than Eddie Punk. I think Jericho gave Kingston a lot more to work with in this match. This match is a fun match. This was a very fun opener.
Definitely was better than Eddie Kingston versus CM Punk from Full Gear. I think it was Full Gear, I want to say. But I mean, Jericho certainly was playing the heel, even though the crowd was singing along to Judas like nobody's business. Jericho comes out and he relishes in it with his new abs and his new lean body, which is a great transformation.
He looks fantastic.
At his age, he's like going on 50 now, which is crazy to think about. I mean, it's not the only seasoned vet we're going to be talking about on this show doing things that they shouldn't be doing. But anyway, I mean, this was, this is just, Jericho is making things look so easy in this match, and Eddie Kingston so over with this crowd. There was, at the very beginning of the match, I will say, Eddie Kingston hit a huge exploder suplex. Chris Jericho landed right on his fucking head, and I was like, oh my god, this pay-per-view is going to go downhill quick. If this, like, Jericho landed, like, if you go back and rewatch it, guys, like, if you don't believe me, go watch the Bleacher Report replay. Jericho landed right on his fucking head on that suplex, and I'm like... And
that was in the opening seconds of the match.
Not even...
We knew we were in for a stiff fight after... That's Kingston's first line of offense right there.
First line of offense, lots of pro Eddie chants in this crowd, and there's a lot of suplexes going on. Jericho's flipping the deuce at the crowd, and he's getting into it with referee Aubrey Edwards, as they always do. Basically, Jericho has the lion tamer on Eddie Kingston, reaches the ropes. Jericho does the thing where he's like, "Yes, I won, baby!" And then Aubrey's like, "No. Do you not see do you not see his hand is on the ropes?" Jericho, instead of challenging the play, decides to shove Aubrey Edwards, who shoves him back in return. So got to continue that feud always, and Aubrey does a great job selling it.
Your Triple H and Earl Hebner vibes every single time they interact. And even though AEW is only a few years old, Jericho and Edwards is always going to go down as that wrestler and referee dynamic, just like Triple H and Hebner were all those years ago.
This is going to be that modern example for sure. But yeah, there were so many Saito suplexes on Eddie's end. Jericho's hitting a code breaker for a good near fall. There were, like, especially towards the end of this match, like, this crowd was getting white hot towards the closing minutes here. Jericho's hitting a code breaker. He went for the Judas effect. Jericho hits the elbow against a exposed turnbuckle, which I did not see anybody take the turnbuckle pad off. I must have missed that part. But then Kingston hits two stiff spinning back fists, and then he locks on the spinning plum submission hold, which looks nasty, just twisting Jericho's arm back as far as he freaking can while he's in the Dragon Sleeper position. Believe it or not, Chris Jericho taps out, ladies and gentlemen, puts Eddie Kingston over right in the middle of the ring like a tough son of a bitch that he is. Eddie Kingston goes for a handshake, and Jericho says, I can't do it. I can't do it. Walks away.
So one thing I wanted to say about this pay-per-view right away is that I saw all these finishes coming from a mile away, but this was one I was a little nervous about, and I'm glad they went with the right winner because in my mind, Kingston needed to go over because if there's one thing I don't like about AEW is their mindset of, oh, he'll look good in defeat. He'll look good in defeat. Not everybody can get over by looking good in defeat. You got to give them some W's. And this was one match where I saw zero reason for Jericho to go over. So thank you. The right person won. I had a lot of fun with this match. I think I give it like 3.5 stars. This was a very solid opener and a good way to open the show.
I'm going 3 3/4 just because I liked the intensity and the stiffness and how hard these two were hitting each other. It really felt like these two did not like each other. It felt like a legitimate grudge match to in my opinion, at least. Jericho, I mean, we were talking about it. He's been putting the youngsters over for years and years and years, coming on a decade now. I mean, you can add Eddie Kingston to this long list of people he's put over. Going even back to the PG era, Sheamus, Fandango at WrestleMania 29. Unfortunately, Dolph Ziggler is on that list somewhere. You know, you get my point.
Person to put over.
You get no, he's not the perfect person. He's not winning the NXT title tomorrow night, please. But I mean, yeah, no, it's a fun 15-minute match. The crowd was certainly into it, but you know what match I thought was better than this was what was up next. This is a huge tag team sprint. 3-way for the AEW World Tag Team titles as the Jurassic Express. I almost said the wrong team there because, yeah, this is, you know, last time we were here on AEW pods, Lucha Brothers were the tag team champions. But since then, Jurassic Express has since taken the belts and well-deserved. I will say that much. Well-deserved. They are an overact. They are just the most lovable baby faces you can imagine. Perfect guys to carry the banner.
There's a shining star on that team that I hope they continue to their momentum on. But let them have fun with the tag team titles.
Not Marco Stunt.
Not Marco Stunt. Right where they started with Cough Jungle Boy.
Yes.
He's over with the crowd by himself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they absolutely can, for sure. So, yeah, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are defending against the Young Bucks, of course, because you got to have the Young Bucks on an AEW show. And reDRagon, the team of Bobby Fish and the newly debuted Kyle O'Reilly.
Love reDRagon.
Yeah, they were
reDRagon.
They were so great, weren't they? And one thing
I don't want to be selfish. I was all pro babyface Kyle O'Reilly getting a push on NXT, but when this contract was coming up and he came to AEW, I was like, I fucking love tag teams and I fucking love reDRagon. So I was so hyped for this. So hyped to see reDRagon in AEW.
Former multiple-time NXT tag team champions reDRagon on AEW now. First thing, can I say something real quick before we get into this wrestling and all that? Bobby Fish was so fucking entertaining on the apron. Just the shit he was saying to people, like, I had never noticed that about Bobby Fish ever before.
Oh, he's been funny on Dynamite too. If you noticed the other week, when Hangman Adam Page got on the mic and said it's time for story time with Adam Page, baby, they cut back to Cole, Fish, and O'Reilly, and Fish is going, you can't say that. That's copyrighted. Only Adam Cole can say that. Story time with Adam Cole, baby. It's copyrighted.
Oh, what a prick, right?
So see what happens when you let Fish have some personality on his own. It's great.
Lessons learned, huh? Lessons learned. But
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, Kyle O'Reilly, I think, definitely has a lot of gas left in the tank for sure, specifically, and he showed it in this match. I mean, Jungle Boy and Kyle O'Reilly is a dream match that I've been wanting for a while. And
wait, did you mention the other team in this match? Because it's a three-way.
oh, the Bucks? I mean, well, everybody. Yeah, no, of course I mentioned the Bucks. Yeah, no, I was like,
I wasn't sure because I know we got to reDRagon. I started gushing about reDRagon, so I wasn't sure if you brought up the Bucks.
Yeah, no, the Bucks won a tag team Casino Royale on Dynamite to win this title shot here.
Top flight.
It really should have. It really should have. But you know what? It's the Young Bucks. It's the Jurassic Express. They had my favorite.
Yeah, we get it. reDRagon and the Bucks are feuding. This is going to add fuel to the fire. Fuck me for wanting a new tag team on pay-per-view. Anywho,
they had my favorite match at All Out 2020, which is notoriously not a very good show on AEW's part for different reasons, aside from the wrestling.
Yeah.
But, so the story for this match was basically reDRagon and the Young Bucks kind of have this agreement to kind of work together against the Jurassics. And then basically they would turn on each other later on once they saw, oh, the tag team titles are on the line. It's every team for themselves in this case.
Yeah, and the feud going on Dynamite right now is the Bucks are buddies with Cole when it comes to the Super Click, but without mentioning it, Fish and O'Reilly were Cole's buddies in WWE.
They're
kind of fighting over Dad right now. And since the other leader of the group, Kenny Omega, is still out of action right now,
he is.
They're kind of fighting for Adam Cole's attention. And Adam Cole is doing things under the Bucks' noses, like bringing in reDRagon.
Which, oh my God.
Bringing in Switchblade Jay White. So there's kind of tension right now in the Super Click.
First of all, Jay White, nowhere to be found on this card at all, which is kind of weird. But second thing is I completely forgot to mention, on the buy-in, Kenny Omega's music hits for an interview with Tony Schiavone, and instead it's Don Callis who comes out, and then he basically cuts a promo talking about Kenny Omega's return, and he's talking about, oh, the Bucks are going to win the tag titles, Adam Cole's going to win the AEW title, and he's going to be a perfect transitional champion for Kenny Omega, and I'm like, spoiler alert, that will not happen. That will not happen. Obviously,
Era versus Elite.
Yep. Please give me Paragon at Double or Nothing against the Elite. That would be great. But this tag team match, man, I fucking loved it.
I loved it too. This was so much fun. Not perfect. There were some botches here and there, but overall, the tag team dynamic between the Bucks doing their thing, reDRagon being this perfect combination of striking and submissions, and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus having this amazing dynamic of being the big little man team where Luchasaurus can just throw Jungle Boy all over the place. There's this great spot where Luchasaurus threatened to jump over the top rope onto the Bucks and reDRagon, but then Jungle Boy just comes out of nowhere, springs on the top rope, and he's the one to dive on the Bucks side there. So I like that. I love Luchasaurus lifting Jungle Boy over his head onto other people. And don't discredit Luchasaurus.
It's ridiculous.
He can fly too. He was flying in this match too.
Luchasaurus was flying all over the fucking place. And, I mean, no disrespect to Luchasaurus, of course, but I feel like Jungle Boy doesn't need Luchasaurus to fly around, because if you were watching him, Jungle Boy was bouncing off these top ropes like he's fucking Gumby, and he's freaking hitting Hurricane Ranas and hitting some of the most unique offense since the Young Bucks came up with all this stuff years and years ago. You know what I mean? It's freaking awesome. And, you know, having the Bucks themselves in this match doesn't really hurt at all. I mean, you can say, oh man, I wish they put over a new team. The Bucks are still EVPs, so you would expect them to be on this pay-per-view in some form, at least. If they weren't, then that would mean that there's no Kenny, no Bucks, no Cody, obviously no Cody anymore, and that would be the first time an AEW pay-per-view had no originators, so, which is kind of an interesting story.
But I think AEW could be reaching a point where they don't need to rely on that talent. They've got a huge roster, and even an ever-growing roster as we'll get into later tonight. So, I'm looking forward to some of this new talent. But anywho, match was still nothing short of phenomenal. This was one of those matches where just sit back and enjoy. There was a million moves a minute going on in this match. Again, between the submission and the striking style of reDRagon, between the absolute insanity that is the Young Bucks, and the combination of speed and power of Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
I mean, just excellent stuff. Jungle Boy was selling the ankle really, really well. I think Kyle O'Reilly hit him with the Bucks hit him with a super kick while he was on the top rope, and they hit him right square in that damn ankle, and he was selling it pretty much throughout the majority of the match. But this is just an 18-minute sprint is what this was. These guys were hitting a million moves a minute, submissions, super kicks, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus flying around. It's exactly what you would expect out of this three-way. The only thing is, I have a couple of nitpicks here. I'm going to give this a 4.5-star rating. But my thing is, if there's no disqualifications in a three-way match, theoretically, number one, why do these guys have to worry about tagging in? I always have to say that. It's...
Well, we did have a tornado tag later on the show, so...
We did. But, if it's a three-way, and, if there's no disqualifications, and that's another thing. Kyle O'Reilly, I think it was Kyle O'Reilly, hit Jungle Boy with the belt, and there had to be a ref distraction there. It was the other way around. Yeah, I think it was the other way around. I think one of the Bucks hit Jungle Boy with the title, and reDRagon was distracting the referee. It was one way or the other. But point being, there was a ref distraction, and it doesn't matter if it's no disqualification to have a ref distraction there. So,
again, unless you're playing New Japan rules where you're going to disqualify that certain team and get them out of the match. But I know they're not running those rules, so why add it?
Yeah, absolutely. But this is top tier AEW tag team wrestling here. Exactly what you would expect. Best tag team division in the world as far as I see it. The Jurassic Express does retain. Luchasaurus hits the Thoracic Express launch into a powerbomb, which is a nasty looking spot. And Nick was this close to saving the pinfall on his brother. And yeah, it was great. 4.5 stars. Can't really complain too much.
I'll give it 4.25 stars. This was so much fun to watch, and it was one of those turn off your brain kind of matches, not in a bad way, but like in a, I'm not going to try, I'm just going to let insanity ensue and just enjoy something that AEW does really, really well, and that's their tag teams. I will say AEW has the best tag team division on the planet, and that showed by how many solid, just, what's the word I'm looking for? Established tag teams in both of those battle royals. Like, me.
And
I like established tag teams with names and history, and
there's a lot of depth.
I don't like
a lot of depth.
A lot of depth. That's a good way to put it. I don't like wrestler A and wrestler B getting thrown together.
Yeah.
Unless they evolve and work as a team, like Varsity Blondes, Brian Pillman and Griff Garrison. They're not doing anything individually. So yeah, you can put those two together, but I don't want to see, I don't know, Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara be a tag team.
Well, especially since they're feuding, it doesn't really make sense, which is interesting. I
just said that when they team tonight, but you know what I mean. Like, I want to see Keith Lee and I don't know,
Keith Lee and Christian Cage. Like, why do they need to be a tag team?
Something like that.
Yeah, WWE does that shit all the time, which is kind of interesting that you say that. Now that we're talking about this show, there's a little bit of an angle that we can talk about in that regard. But, before we get there, we already had a couple of names mentioned, Tomas. Here we are.
Here we go. It's the face of the Revolution ladder match for a future shot at the TNT title. Like we said, Keith Lee has made his way to AEW. I'm a little nervous. You know how much we love Keith Lee.
Obviously.
I don't want this guy to get lost in the shuffle.
Keith Lee.
Do not want to get lost in the shuffle. I fucking love Keith Lee. WWE dropped the ball on him majorly. I don't want to see him just be another Stoke in AEW's wheel.
I'm gonna take hold that thought. I'm gonna take a quote out of Adam Blampier's playbook from Parts Fun Known. How the fuck do you screw up Keith Lee on the main roster? WWE managed to do that, so AEW, you better not make the same mistake.
When 3 years ago he was on one of the big 4 pay-per-views and he went toe-to-toe with Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And Roman Reigns gave him the seal of approval. If your top guy is giving him the seal of approval, Main eventer, easy.
Vince is probably gonna be rolling in his grave for that decision.
Last year, around this time, where you heard me say, I want Keith Lee versus Lashley for the WWE title. And here we are a year later.
We never got it.
I want Keith Lee's success to grow here in AEW. Anywho, it's
he should.
Keith Lee, Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, Orange Cassidy, Ricky Starks, and Christian Cage in this ladder match.
Yep.
First things first, have you ever seen 3 big hosses in a ladder match before?
No. I mean,
this was crazy good.
Oh, it was phenomenal. And I feel like WWE has done big like hoss fights in these ladder matches before, like in the early 2010s, where like Kane and the Big Show were in these Money in the Bank matches every year. Yeah, but
WrestleMania 25,
nothing nearly like this.
That was notable.
Nothing nearly like this. Kane could not do a leapfrog like Keith Lee can over both Ricky Starks and fucking Christian Cage at the same time, because it's Keith fucking Lee.
Yeah, so this match starts off with the best spot ever. Orange Cassidy makes his way to the ring. He rolls into the ring.
Yes!
And he continues to roll out of the ring. I'm just like, why? Because it's fucking Orange Cassidy.
It is Orange Cassidy, but it gets even better. It gets even better. So they tease like all 3 big hosses in the ring. Keith Lee, Wardlow, and Powerhouse Hobbs, who was announced from East Palo Alto, California, which I popped for. So the three hosses go toe-to-toe. Fucking Orange Cassidy rolls into the ring, and he's kicking these guys, and you could hear that sonic boom from Orange Cassidy's kicks all the way out in Southern California, basically. Because
you know what? They need to consider themselves lucky, because Orange Cassidy would have put all 3 of those guys in the hospital.
He would have put all 3 of them in wheelchairs with those kicks to the shins.
So Lee, Wardlow, and Hobbs better consider themselves lucky, man.
They better consider themselves lucky, because apparently the shin bone is the most painful bone in the body you can break, and Orange Cassidy somehow did not break their shin bones with those devastating kicks.
There is a couple of things. They got really, really creative in this ladder match, and that's my thing about these multi-man ladder matches, which rumor is there might be one at WrestleMania. Please do it. I want creativity. I want creative spots in there. I think, was it Keith Lee and Wardlow like holding up a ladder, and Keith Lee climbed on their Keith Lee, Orange Cassidy climbed up their shoulders and stood on the ladder, and basically he stood on Lee's shoulders.
He skinned the cat.
He went to go grab the brass ring.
He skinned the cat. He stood on that ladder bridge for a minute, tried to grab the brass ring, which, yes, is still a joke in AEW. And Orange Cassidy slips, and he, lands right on his freaking nuts, and he sells it like nobody's business. Yeah, it's not a landing I want to take, for sure. But yeah, the commentary team I thought was great in this match as well. I mean, JR couldn't stop talking about how large Keith Lee was. And he's not wrong. Keith Lee is a large man, and there's a reason why he's limitless. He can do the things he does at his size, and that's why we love him. That is why we love Keith Lee. Please do not fuck him up, Tony Khan. But basically, yeah, we get the same trio of Lee, Hobbs, and Wardlow in the ring, tossing their smaller opponents out. And fucking Taz, who's sitting there with 2 of his guys in there, he makes a Jaws reference saying, we're going to need a bigger boat. We're going to need a bigger boat for this. And, I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Those are 3 humongous individuals. Wardlow was getting
some bad memories of that one commentator that was on Raw for like 3 weeks last year.
Oh,
and
God.
He said that about Braun Strowman, and Corey Graves said, who needs a trains don't go through water. Something stupid like that.
Corey Graves is a fucking idiot if he's never seen Jaws. But, basically, this is...
No, it wasn't Graves. Graves didn't make the call. It was the other guy. Graves was correcting him.
Oh, Saxon? Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
No. It was that one guy, Burke.
Oh, the guy who left after like a month. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah.
I remember him.
And you continue.
Yeah, but Orange Cassidy, I mean, he was taking some nasty spills in this match. There was a point where he landed on his fucking head on a plancha, which did not look safe at all. There was a point where he puts the ladder on his head. He's wearing it like a necklace, and he does the Terry Funk spot.
The whirly bird.
The whirly bird. You gotta love that shit. Christian was just there in this match. I mean, he wasn't...
Yeah.
I was expecting him to do more,
there.
especially a year after his big debut at Revolution 2021, where he claimed he was going to outwork everyone. I don't think he outworked everyone in this match.
No, I honestly,
all due respect,
sounds like he's been taking a day off here and there. If you ask me,
I think Keith Lee
some vacation days.
Keith Lee certainly outworked Christian Cage on this show. I'd even go as far as saying as Ricky Starks outworked Christian Cage in this match, because I mean, I hate to keep saying that because I'm a big Christian guy. Everybody who knows me as a wrestling fan knows that I'm a humongous Christian fan, but if you're going to say you're outworking everyone, you better show that you're outworking everyone, you know?
Hell, Powerhouse Hobbs was putting in more work in this match. Oh,
yeah.
But speaking of that, we got a little cameo from somebody in this match, didn't we?
Yeah. You want to talk about this?
A very evil cameo. A very evil cameo from Danhausen. Yes, Danhausen made his presence feel in the face of the Revolution ladder match. Helps good friend Orange Cassidy. Yes, very good, very evil. If you don't know who Danhausen is,
oh my god,
he's a
fucking interesting character. I mean, I would have loved to have seen this Danhausen have an encounter with the Fiend, just because I feel like that would have been really freaking interesting. But
long story short, Danhausen is a character in Ring of Honor that got very over because he started, like Bray Wyatt, just started doing this very strange character where he would talk in third person, and his promos. I remember hearing one of his promos, and it's very like engaging. Like,
yeah,
you can't help but not listen to what this guy is saying.
He just has this way of
he's
captivating you.
He's very captivating, very evil, very good. And he's just very 100% into this character, and he has like a lore and a background, and it has a cult following. And I think Brian Zane said it best. He's the only wrestler I've ever seen to get over without wrestling, because I think right now he's injured, but he's still keeping his thing going, and it's so captivating. And
it's great.
You're like put under his spell. So AEW picked him, and right now what he's doing is he's just showing up in matches and just distracting people. It's great, and he did this here too to help Orange Cassidy.
Mainly involving Orange Cassidy, because apparently him and him are very, very good friends indeed. Yes, very close.
Very good, very
very good, very close friends. I can't do a Danhausen impression like Tomas can, but
very good. But you work on Danhausen impression. Danhausen will be very pleased with Danhausen impression. Anywho,
God damn it!
With Revolution ladder match.
I mean, yeah, the crowd definitely pops for Danhausen coming out to the ring. Christian is trying to hit a kill switch, but Ricky Starks hits a low blow. Christian Cage is out of there. But Wardlow, okay, so I think before this was when Keith Lee and Powerhouse Hobbs fight their way out to the announce desk, right? So they go out there.
Yeah, and when they started doing that, I'm like, oh shit, something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Something's going
so
down here.
Wardlow, freaking out of nowhere, like the freaking Batman coming out of the shadows. Like, you all know I reviewed the Batman about a weekend ago. Wardlow just sneaks in from the shadows and clobbers both Lee and Hobbs off the stage, and they crash through some tables, and I'm like, well, fuck, Keith Lee isn't winning this match after that spot. There's no way.
No, but that was quite a spot.
It was cool.
3 guys the size of Lee, Hobbs, and Wardlow. It's like, holy shit. The whole arena is going to come crumbling down if these guys break as much as they do.
Yeah. So, Ricky Starks is climbing the ladder. Wardlow makes his way back to ringside after Christian Cage is taken out of the equation. He hits a big, gigantic powerbomb on Starks, and Wardlow is left all alone to grab the brass ring. And the crowd was way into Wardlow. I was very surprised. They were chanting Wardlow in the vein of Bill Goldberg's chants back in the day. What's that?
I'm getting really into Wardlow, believe it or not.
Really?
He is growing on me. I've been digging his stuff lately.
I knew it. I said this like way back in the day when he was wrestling fucking Jack Swagger at New Year's Smash, you know? I said Wardlow could be money, and it looks like Wardlow is money right now because he's got a big angle on this show.
So Wardlow has won a shot at the TNT title. Now, Scorpio Sky and Sammy Guevara are going to battle for that title on Wednesday, and Wardlow's going to face the winner. We have an issue with this ladder match for this reason. It's not like the it's not like the Money in the Bank ladder match where he gets a title shot wherever he wants and it kind of guarantees his elevation to the next level. This is just you're breaking yourself for just a regular title shot.
Right.
I get it. You want to make the TNT title prestigious. You want to make it mean something, but unless you're going to guarantee the win for this guy, he's kind of all for nothing.
It's also for the mid-card belt, so there is that part. At least WWE has that part. Money in the Bank is at least, prestigious as opposed to the Sonic the Hedgehog ring hanging above the...
Damn it. I understand to an extent because you want to make the TNT title just as important as the world title.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't want to diminish the mid-card titles. Again, I don't want to keep mentioning WWE, but, the Intercontinental title and the United States title, until very just recently, mind you, we got 2 new champions, have been taking a backseat, and they weren't prestigious as the Intercontinental title was back in the 90s. I get wanting to elevate that mid-card title, but there's no guarantee here that Wardlow's going to win the title. So why make him go through all of this if you're not going to promise him that big push?
A lot of people think he is, which I strongly disagree with, and we'll get to why that is. But as far as this Face of the Revolution ladder match goes, I had some fun with it. There were some cool little spots in there. I loved the Hoss
4
fights.
Stars. Yeah.
4, really? I went 3.5. I went 3.5.
That's fair.
I think,
that's fair.
Personally, if I were booking this, Keith Lee would have won this in a heartbeat. That's just me, but I don't know. I mean, I have my doubts. I mean, Wardlow could...
Without mentioning another match, because the TNT title was not defended at the show.
No.
If I am booking this situation, Guevara needs to drop the title. And you know how I don't like hot potatoing, but here's the thing. Guevara needs to drop the title to Scorpio Sky. Because if it's going to be a Wardlow, if it's going to be a Keith Lee, they're going to absolutely annihilate whoever the TNT champion is.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be easier for a sniveling little heel like Sky to take that beating than to make Guevara look like a chump.
It's your... Scorpio Sky would basically be your definition of a transitional champion, which I do not want Scorpio Sky to be.
Which is unfortunate, but
Scorpio Sky deserves
good.
so much better than being a transitional champion. Basically, Sammy Guevara equals Bob Backlund. Scorpio Sky equals the Iron Sheik in this situation, and Wardlow equals Hulk Hogan. I mean, you can't...
That's a very good analogy. But I am saying right now, Sky is going to beat Guevara on Wednesday. You heard it here first. I'm picking Sky on Wednesday.
You better...
Excellent analogy, and I do agree with you, so...
I
hope that they don't do that to him.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that happens. I just don't want it to. But anyway, before we get to this next match, Tomas was referring to it. Tony Schiavone is on stage to announce a big signing, which is a nice segue after Christian Cage was just in the ring. And he's like, here comes AEW's newest signing, Shane Swerve Strickland. Walks out to the ring without any other members of Hit Row, which is, and he's just as cool, calm, and collected as I've ever seen him. And this crowd...
Formerly known as Isaiah Swerve Scott in WWE, he unfortunately got released, but AEW picked him up, and here's where the rant comes in.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
I am on the side of that. AEW is getting a little too crowded right now. And I'm happy that Swerve Strickland has been signed to AEW. But what are you going to do with him? What are you going to do with him?
I mean...
If you are fixated on making sure your favorites, like Adam Page and Adam Cole and the Bucks and Kenny Omega... and
Danielson, Moxley, Punk.
Moxley, Danielson, Punk. If you want all of those guys... I'm going to try and not be so harsh as I usually am. If you're so fixated on having those guys in the main event, your mid-card is reserved for your homegrown guys, your Jungle Boys, your Sammy Guevaras, your Scorpio Skies, your Pentas, your Phoenixes, your, guys like that.
Right.
Where does guys, all these new signees, like your Jay Lethals, like your Swerve Stricklands, like your Keith Lees. I know I preserved that with a grain of salt. Your Christian Cages, your even though I don't think Christian Cage should be in the main event, but you know what I mean? It's
I beg to differ.
A lot of these, your Miros, you get all this fun new talent, and it's good to have them for the pop. But if you're not going to follow up on these guys, and the biggest offender right now is Jay Lethal.
Yeah.
You don't sign Jay Lethal, have him lose.
Jay Lethal should have won the TNT Championship right away. I mean, I don't, no disrespect to Sammy at all. It's okay. No disrespect to Sammy Guevara. But Jay Lethal, as soon as he got that TNT title shot, that should have been his. And Jay Lethal should have been holding the TNT title now all the way through the calendar year, because that's what he did in Ring of Honor. That's what got him over in this decade. So him defending the TNT Championship all over the place through Ring of Honor, taking it to other promotions, I think that would be an amazing thing for Tony Khan to do with Jay Lethal.
But don't sign a guy like Lethal, have him lose his first match, have him be like the second guy eliminated in a battle royal, and then have him gone. So,
he's disappeared. Matt Sydal, same thing, disappeared.
Matt Sydal.
So
I know everybody can't be on top. I get that. But you don't sign a guy like Strickland and just have him sitting around and catering. And I know WWE is guilty of that. I know. I'm not talking about them, though. I'm talking about AEW, and I'm talking about how they pride themselves on, we're going to push these guys. Well, then push them. Don't have them sitting around. I don't want to see them in dark elevation every week. I want to see them on your main show.
Yeah.
Let's pretend YouTube doesn't exist. Your cable television show. That's every Wednesday. That's where I want to see them.
Every Friday.
And that's my rant for that, but
yeah. So
happy for Shane. Happy for Strickland. He looks happy to be there.
Moral of the story, we don't want AEW to get greedy with signing all this new talent, which is certainly the road they're going down. Jay Lethal, Erick Redbeard even, I'll put him into that equation. Buddy Matthews. I don't want any of those guys to get lost in the shuffle. Neither of us do. But up next, we do have the TBS Championship on the line. Jade Cargill is defending against Ty Conti. Jade Cargill, undefeated, by the way. Very surprised that she beat Ruby Soho in the finals of that tournament that we were talking about on the last AEW pod. Ty Conti, top contender, of course. She comes out with -1 and Anna Jay. Always nice to see -1 on one of these shows. I can't wait until he starts getting of age to start getting into the action. But what we have here, I mean, this is just a pretty basic match, all things considered. This only went 7 minutes. I mean, it's no disrespect on the wrestlers at all. I mean, they were trying as hard as they could.
I will say Jade Cargill's getting better. She's getting better and better with every single match.
Certainly is getting better. She certainly, to me, Jade Cargill is more so known for her basketball athleticism, which sounds like a gold mine for the WWE Performance Center, because then they can say, oh yeah, we developed her into a superstar. Not in this case. Jade Cargill is a homegrown AEW talent in this case, and I think it's,
of course you're being improved. Of course you're getting better when Bryan Danielson is noticing your work and he is offering his advice, and he is basically extending the olive branch.
There you go.
Danielson.
There you go. I mean, and she's taking his advice, it looks like, and running with it. Adding some submissions into her arsenal too, and she has a manager who's called Smart Mark, which I honestly laughed at. I like that pun a lot. But great. Yeah, I mean,
want to see Smart Mark Sterling and Malcolm Bivens get into an argument. I think that would be fucking gold right there.
that would be fun. That would be fun. But I mean, yeah, pretty basic wrestling. Jade Cargill hits the Jaded Slam for the pinfall win. Now she's 29-0. She's starting to Goldberg her way through the women's division here. It's nothing we haven't seen before, 2.5 stars. But you know what my biggest problem with this match was, Tomas? I'll tell you right now. So you have these 3 really exciting matches, one after the other. Boom, boom, boom. Kingston, Jericho, tag titles, ladder match. These ladies are in the death spot, number 1. But I just couldn't help but notice Anna Jay being at ringside. Nothing against Anna Jay at all. But aren't her and Ty Conti supposed to be baby faces? Yeah. They should not be cheating like they were. They were throwing chairs into the ring. They were helping each other out. Ty was throwing her best friend into the mix. That's all stuff heels do. And their faces.
Well, but if you didn't notice, Cargill hit Anna Jay for absolutely no reason, like in the beginning of the match.
Well, she did. She did, yeah. But that doesn't mean that, oh, yeah, no, because for revenge, okay. But, like, in a normal circumstances, though, you would not be seeing Anna Jay cheating like she was. No way in hell.
Oh, no. Like, I do get it. Maybe if they did one thing to get back at Cargill, but the constant interference, which we're not going to be done talking about that.
Nope.
Say,
not at all. Not at all. But, I mean, I didn't honestly have as much of a problem with the later interference as I did here. But, I mean, yeah, 2.5 stars. Nothing really too overly exciting. But, oh boy, the next match certainly... I can't wait to talk about this, Tomas.
This match... I had very reserved feelings over, and I wanted to keep those feelings reserved until I actually saw the match. It's CM Punk versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman in a dog collar match.
That's right.
Dog collar matches don't come they're very few and far between in professional wrestling. Brody Lee's last match, last match overall, was a dog collar match against Cody Rhodes.
Sure was.
Before that, CM Punk really made these matches famous in Ring of Honor. They were really famous in the original ECW. And this was, if people want to understand how brutal this match is, it's like a strap match, but you're not connected by the arms by a leather strap. You are connected by the neck, by dog collars with chains.
And I think...
And when you see that visual for the first time, when they start the match, it's almost inhumane.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the match as brutal as it is, for sure. Number one, obviously, that's the given circumstances, but I like this, actually, watching Mr. Brody Lee's final match of his life with Cody in this same stipulation, and especially after this match, which I'm just going to spoil it for you right now. This was my match of the night. I'm not going to lie. This was my most anticipated match going in, because this rivalry and this feud, chef's kiss. Unlike anything I've ever seen before. MJF was given a full-on origin story. He was cutting a full-on babyface style promo about why he hates CM Punk. And it led to that hug in Daly's place and bloodying CM Punk in the middle of the ring right there. And the picture of MJF meeting CM Punk was brought into the mix, of course, because it had to be. I love this feud. I love this feud. It was the one feud I was looking forward to seeing from CM Punk since he arrived on the scene in AEW, and they've certainly satisfied me, for sure. Their Dynamite match was great, for sure. I feel like it was a little bit too overbooked, with it ending 2 different times, but this I thought was so much better. It satisfied me in every single way.
So starting off the match, let's get this part out of the way.
Here we go.
Punk did come out in his Ring of Honor gear,
he did.
His Ring of Honor music, and he was even introduced to the ring as the Second City Saint.
He was.
That was a really cool callback.
And this was after.
This was already
Sorry. I was just gonna say this was after CM Punk's normal Cult of Personality music plays throughout the auditorium. Immediately it cuts off, and MJF's music hits. He walks out to the ring, and Excalibur was like, "What an asshole." Why? Why is MJF an asshole? He's not in charge of the music. Come on. I mean, that's not why MJF's an asshole. But
this is already AEW taking advantage of the Ring of Honor ownership, getting that theme song back for Punk, getting the rights to the nickname, giving Punk an excuse to wear the ring gear. And this is where Punk really made his name in Ring of Honors with these dog collar matches. This match was brutal. This match was very great. But it was very slow paced and methodical. But if you can't enjoy it in this way, you're not going to enjoy this match. This wasn't a million moves a minute, high spots, crazy professional wrestling. These were 2 guys who were legitimately trying to hurt each other.
Yeah.
And you don't hurt each other by doing triple moonsault and, all these fancy moves. You hurt somebody by punching them in the face repeatedly until they bleed.
With a chain.
By taking that chain and wrapping it around their throat. By throwing the guy over the top rope and trying to lynch them with the dog collar.
Yeah.
It's very slow and very methodically paced. And you need to go into this match with that mindset to truly enjoy it. This was like old school Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair in a steel cage. That kind of bloody grudge match.
And that's why I loved it.
You need to go into this match with an old school mindset.
CM Punk always said, what would Harley Race do? Harley Race would do a match like this right here.
Yes.
And I am, honestly, I'm so happy that Punk got to fulfill his old school wrestling fan fantasy in this feud right here and this blow-off. Because, spoiler alert, I think this is definitely the blow-off between Punk and MJF. I don't think this is the last time they'll ever meet in AEW, but for now, for this feud, I think this was the perfect button on everything. And let me just say that CM Punk was wearing some white fight shorts out to the ring. Not even 5 minutes in, those shorts are like half red with CM Punk's own blood. Because Punk bladed pretty early on. And honestly, if I were to nitpick this match, I'm going to nitpick it a little bit. I was thinking about giving it a certain rating, but I'm having second thoughts about it, honestly. Punk very clearly did something like this after he was hit with the chain, and it was a very blatant looking blade job right there. It wasn't as camouflaged as I would have liked. It wasn't as clean.
I will say, when's the last time you've seen the Crimson Mask in wrestling? It's been
not in a long time.
When I saw the Crimson Mask, I was immediately like sent through the time warp, and I was immediately reminded of like Triple H and The Undertaker,
Flair,
Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Flair. Just, it's weird. It's gonna sound a little insane of me to say, but just seeing the blood covered the face was just like gave me some nostalgia, and I'm just like, this is why we need to save this kind of stuff for matches like this. We don't need to see it
personal.
We don't need to see it every week. Every once in a while, and it's good.
It was literally a blood feud, and this is what it boiled down to. When the blood starts pouring, you know it's... This is a match that I feel like was made even better by the presence of blood.
Oh, yeah.
MJF bladed, I want to say about halfway through the match. It wasn't as, like, you know, big of a blade job as Punk's was, but MJF was screaming like a little bitch, and the crowd... This crowd, man, I mean, they were funny all night, and we'll talk about them a lot more once we get to this main event, but this harkened back to, it reminded me a lot of Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa at TakeOver New Orleans, which is still one of my favorite matches of all time. MJF starts bleeding, Punk starts raking the chain in his face, the crowd, of course, starts chanting, "You deserve it," and I'm like, yep, he kind of does.
Very early in the match, MJF grabs a microphone and he gets in Punk's face and he says, I'm gonna give you one chance to quit. Are you gonna quit like you did on All of Us all those years ago? And Punk says, "Eat shit, Max," and retaliates back at him, and the fans start chanting, "Eat shit, Max." It is great.
Eat shit, whoop whoop, eat shit, whoop whoop. And that was after they started chanting "fuck you, Maxwell" at the beginning of the match too, which is, you know, of course they would chant that at MJF because he's a piece of shit. But there was a point where, oh my god, there was a whole tombstone pile driver loop-de-loop sequence. Punk hits a gigantic tombstone pile driver on Maxwell on the apron. And let me just say that even though MJF is a piece of shit, you got to give him credit where it's due. His selling, unlike any other in this business, I think he's easily top 5, if not top 3 sellers in the industry right now. Right up there along with Riddle, as far as I see it. He is, at such a young age, he is just, his fundamentals and selling and what have you, perfect. Absolutely perfect. But there is a point where Punk is teasing the Pepsi Plunge, which is a move he brought back in the first match with MJF in Chicago, or the first 2 if you want to go off of MJF's vocabulary. But
and if you don't know what that is, Pepsi Plunge is basically a pedigree off the top rope.
Ouch. Yep. Big fucking ouch for sure. But MJF goes under the ring, and you want to talk about brutality, Tomas. He pulls out the hemp bag, and we were discussing this at the Royal Rumble 2000 pod, which, by the way, stay tuned next week for the No Way Out 2000 review. We did not forget. We will be getting to that. But JR, it's a whole big 180. He's like, I have a bad feeling about what's in that bag. Here, 22 years later, he's like, I've seen enough wrestling matches to know what's in that bag, and it's not a good feeling. MJF pours out not thousands of thumbtacks, maybe hundreds of thumbtacks if we're looking at the amount there. Punk takes a gigantic superplex onto the tacks, and oh my god, I immediately thought of Tomas and that conversation we had, and I can only imagine how he felt watching that moment.
I was watching it, and I was like, okay, here it comes. And then when they hit the thumbtack spot, my mother was in the room with me, and I turned to her and I said, that sure ain't fake. And then I said, not for all the money in the world.
Yep.
Not for all the money in the world.
That's correct. That is absolutely correct. But, I mean, Punk was teasing the GTS throughout the entirety of the match here. And he finally does hit a GTS, and it's almost like a death knell on MJF. He gets hit with the knee to the face, falls back, and the exclamation point he lands on the tacks and his selling there, oh my god, the look in his eyes is one I'll never forget. And I want to say this actually did come after MJF shouted for Wardlow in the back, and he's asking Wardlow for the Dynamite Diamond ring. Wardlow's looking for it, can't find it. He says, I don't have it. And then turns around into that GTS. Turns out Wardlow had the ring in his pocket all along. Leaves it on the canvas for Punk to use. And there's the final nail in the coffin. Punk wins, puts an end to this feud. Oh, I really wanted to give this 5 stars. I really, really did. But honestly, there's a couple little nitpicks that are holding it back for me. So I'm going 4 3/4. I love this thing. Match of the night for me.
I'm going to go with 4.5. This was a very good match. This was a very good blow up to the feud. And it's not a match you see every day. And it's not a match I want to see every day.
No.
It's not like the death match that Jericho and, what's his face?
Nick Gage.
Nick Gage, thank you.
Nick fucking Gage.
It's not like that death match they had last year. It's not like a street fight, a normal, no holds barred. This is, if you don't go into this match with an old school mindset, you're not going to truly appreciate it. And I really did enjoy everything there. It still wasn't the greatest match in the world to me. And
I loved it.
All the AEW fanboys are going to eat it up and say this is the match of the year and nothing's ever going to be better than this. But
I mean,
I enjoyed it. I really did.
I'm neutral. I'm a fan of both promotions. I don't really care. I mean, honestly, with the way WWE is treating its talent, I'm leaning more towards this promotion if I'm being completely honest. But I mean, this is a match that I was, not only was it my most anticipated feud for CM Punk, it was one of easily my most anticipated match on this card. And with it being a dog collar match, because the thing is, if this were WWE, Tomas, because the gimmick is MJF wants to run away, they would put these two in a steel cage where the objective is to run. A dog collar, you can't run away from your opponent. There's no way in hell.
Opposite. It's the absolute opposite.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that this feud happened where it did. I'm so glad that this match happened where it did. And I'm glad that, it wasn't a match where I felt like my intelligence was insulted, really. I felt like us wrestling fans got to eat with this match, basically. It was great. We got to see the piece of shit get beaten up. Loved it. Old school. But up next, we do have, unfortunately, a match that should have been one of my most anticipated matches on the show, but it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, we do have Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, defending the Women's World title against Thunder Rosa. This is damn near a year removed from their vicious lights out unsanctioned match at St. Patrick's Day Slam. Britt Baker does come out with a brand spanking new Women's World title belt, which I actually think is an upgrade. I may be in the minority, but I just have a thing for rectangular looking world titles. That
Very
fits the bill.
School.
It does. It looks more like a world title than the past 2 installments of the women's title has been. Thunder Rosa does make her entrance as the challenger with gear that I compare to Rey Mysterio's WrestleMania 22 entrance attire. Very much, paying tribute to the Mexican heritage there, which I thought was awesome. Tomas, do you want to talk about the big flaw with this match?
So I actually had a few flaws with this match.
Yeah.
Number one, it was put in the death spot, which I was very surprised.
It was.
Considering
it was,
AEW
wasn't it?
likes to treat their women's title like a world title. That's where I think WWE has them trumped. I do think WWE handles their women's division better than AEW does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at our fucking main events for WrestleMania. They're
it's gonna. No, it's okay.
Top tier matches for WrestleMania and Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. So I was very surprised to see that this was in the death spot. My other issues with this match is number one, it felt sloppy. Like the moves were not hitting as hard as they should. They were going for a lot of stuff that should have had a bigger oomph on the mat, and it was just not coming off good at all. I feel like some cues were missed, and then our both shared biggest issue with this match. Way too much interference.
Yeah.
Way too much. To the point where it was annoying.
And
I
this
know
is
Baker is the heel. I know she has her backups to make sure she wins. But if you have it do it way too much, yes, it makes Thunder Rosa look strong, but it looks Baker look weak in return because now she's trying to come off as a heel that cannot win without help.
Right.
That was everyone's biggest issue when Kevin Owens was the Universal Champion. He had to retain every single match with Chris Jericho's help.
With Chris Jericho in the list.
If it was every once in a while, every other match or so, that'd be fine. But when you're going into the Royal Rumble and the whole stipulation is wrapped around Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, and Jericho has to be suspended in a shark cage, and they're all saying, "Oh, well, Owens is going to lose the title now," you're diminishing your champion. And I don't want to see.
Well, and it was no holds barred.
Recently, yeah,
the match was no holds barred. It didn't matter.
Recently,
yeah,
that's what Baker's kind of turning into.
Yeah, I can certainly see that. But here's my thing. I feel like, first of all, on the surface, yes, way too damn much interference. It kind of got annoying after a while. Britt Baker does eventually pin Thunder Rosa with a fucking curb stomp on the title, which looked lethal. And Britt Baker retains, which shocked me because I always thought that Thunder Rosa would be the one. But here's my thing.
Not here, though. Not here. But I feel like with all this interference, do you think that this is setting up for a rematch between the two? I mean, Thunder Rosa is wrestling Leyla Hirsch on Dynamite for a world title shot. I mean, it's not going to be... Maybe, but have you noticed AEW really doesn't do rematches?
Yeah, that's very true. They do have their top contenders earn their title shots, don't they? I mean, unless it's a draw like Paige and Danielson did, then they'll do a rematch.
As you said, Leyla Hirsch and Rosa are having a number one contenders match. Not calling it eliminator. I think that's a stupid name. They're having a number one contenders match.
It's a world title eliminator.
Potentially, that's another discussion for another time. But we could potentially get that rematch if Rosa wins the contenders match.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely we can. But for right now,
I think I'm going to give this match 2.5 stars. I did not like this match.
I'm going to give it a 3. I'm going to be generous. I thought the wrestling was... I feel like I liked the wrestling in this match more than you did. I mean, Britt Baker, I thought was... Her fundamentals were... I mean, fundamentally, it's a solid match, but I wanted them to do more. I wanted them to take it to the next level. Maybe I was just a little bit... I don't know if I was tired from the dog collar match or what. This crowd certainly sounded like they were tired. I mean, they were chanting Thunder Rosa DMD, dueling chants, but... I mean, other than that, they just weren't really that into it, which was weird because these two put on one of the better women's matches of all time last year. Like, I feel like these two are capable of doing a lot better, and we didn't get it. That's basically what it boils down to. But,
and oh boy, let me talk about these AEW pay-per-views. I know we're really excited about talking about this one next.
Yep.
This is at the point I started getting tired.
Hey, I watched this show in like parts too. Like I watched
these AEW pay-per-views. I will say they're worth your money, but man, I was starting to feel it after this one. And
yes,
again, we had another banger coming up. It's Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson for the first time since 2013. They remembered that SmackDown match that they had.
They never wrestled one-on-one after Bryan won the WWE title ever. They were both on
Yeah.
different shows mainly, and when they were on the different show, Bryan was the general manager, Moxley was the WWE champ, so they never really got to wrestle with their, in their peak main event status.
They did bring up a random indie match they had like a long time ago, but I'm just like, who cares?
With a great video package, by the way. I thought that was really well put together. But can we talk about real quick? Can we talk about Jon Moxley real quick, because he looks like he's just in the best place of his life. Like his return from his rehab. I mean, he cut a very impassioned speech.
I think it was Shivani with the best line during his entrance. Moxley says he only drinks one thing now: blood.
Yeah. So his gimmick is that he's Gangrel now.
Basically, yeah.
For the love of God. Danielson comes out, and the crowd does not chant, "You're going to get your fucking head kicked in," which I'm like, that's a crime. Everybody should be chanting that instead of yes. I mean, I get it.
Danielson's a little weasel right now, so we don't want to cheer for him.
I get it. I'm going to cheer for Danielson anyway, damn it, because he's that damn good, okay? I'm going to cheer for him. But, I mean, this match was fucking violent. From start to finish, these two were literally kicking their freaking heads in, each other's heads in, rather.
Was violent, but not like how the dog collar match was violent. These guys were killing each other with professional wrestling. And I think it was either Excalibur or Shivani who said this, and it was weird because after every spot, I was like, fuck, this gotta hurt. That looks like it hurts. Like, there's no way I could survive this match. And one of them said, I think every single aspiring wrestler is watching this match right now, and they're starting to rethink their decision and whether they want to do this or not, because everything looks like it hurts.
And for that reason, it's my number 2 favorite match on the show, believe it or not, only behind the dog collar match. This is a match that really could have gone either way. The odds were even between these two. They really could have flipped a coin backstage and decided a winner, but these two were hitting each other with planchas. They were hitting each other with knife-edge chops. Danielson was having Mox in the ropes, and he pulls out his patented "I have till 5" moment with the ref, which I always have to pop for. Love that every single time. Danielson comes off like such a little... That's a great way to put it, by the way. A little weasel. That's what he is right now. Like Seth Rollins is currently. But this was... I mean... What else do you really want me to say about it? It's Moxley and Danielson. They go out there, they fucking kill each other with kicks. Moxley...
There was punches, there was kicks, there was knee strikes, there was excellent submission holds. Mm-hmm. There was this modified dragon sleeper. That's when I looked at that, I was like, I would have tapped out right then and there. Moxley mixes the ropes. Danielson locks in the label lock, but he has the arm twisted all the way up in his knees, so that didn't look fun.
No.
Moxley still makes it to the ropes.
And you know what I noticed when Mox was in the label lock? This is kind of like a weird, wrestling fan thing that I feel like we've all noticed at some point during one match. I feel like it was here where I finally noticed it. Mox is reaching for the ropes, and it looks like it actually looks like his hand is farther away from the rope than it actually is, because he's there, and the rope is literally 2 inches away from him.
It's
and I'm
a great illusion that they do.
It is. Yeah. Like all great theater, it's an illusion. So, nice. I mean, really good technical wrestling. Danielson is the best technical wrestler on the planet, in my opinion, still.
So let's talk about this very interesting finish.
Yeah. So Danielson had a weird armbar on him, and then Mox rolls over, does a nice little bridge, and Danielson is surprised. Mox pins him right there. And I thought, brilliant. I mean, it didn't look as clean as I would have liked it to. Surprisingly
enough. This match wasn't supposed to be clean. I think that's the thing.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I mean, it felt like, you know what this was? It felt like a Japanese professional wrestling match. It felt like a stiff New Japan style.
It was the definition of when JR says that was bowling shoe ugly. And it really was.
In the good way.
I usually don't like finishes like this because it kind of just awkwardly ends. But then they start fighting some more, and I realized I would have rather had this, because if this was WWE, it would have been a disqualification.
It sure would.
It would have been a no contest. And it's nice to see we actually got a winner, and they can continue to fight. But then, you know where I'm going with this. This match, this whole thing, has Claudio Castagnoli and Sheamus vibes. Because who makes their way out to the ring?
William Regal.
I popped for that.
Yep. He does not come out there and say War Games to have them settle their score. I don't think
really
they
wish
could.
he would have.
I mean, I'm sure both of them could have put a team together if they really wanted to do War Games on.
No, I just want to see them in 2 rings in a cage. And
2 rings in a cage, you know.
For 2 guys.
Like, wouldn't that just be kind of a waste of space with 2 rings, or would it? I don't know, but Regal basically he comes out there, and JR does allude to the fact that he's been a mentor to both of these guys, especially in regards to Bryan Danielson, who you might recall Danielson thanked him so much in his retirement speech back in 2016. He comes out there, Regal slaps the piss out of Moxley with his southpaw left hand, and Danielson has the biggest look of weasel glee on his face when he sees him get slapped in the face right there. It was very entertaining. But then Regal turns around, slaps Danielson right in the face in return, and it's freaking great. It's a great reaction. Danielson's eyes, the look he had on his face was just awesome. And then basically Regal's like forcing the 2 to shake hands. JR with the big line that, you know, I'm sure every wrestling commentator has. Have we just seen a new tag team formed here? Because that's what it's looking like.
We have, and everybody's happy about it, and I'm just...
There you go.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see
how this turns out.
Well, Mox did challenge for the tag titles at last year's Double or Nothing, so maybe he does so with a new partner. And Danielson, I mean, you could do a lot better with Danielson in AEW, but I mean, you could also do a lot worse in the tag titles. But
I was gonna say you could also do a lot worse. So let's see where this goes.
Let's see
where this goes.
We sure will see where this goes.
Definitely interesting. And up next,
speaking of tag teams, you ready for this? The Andrade Hardy Family Office. You want to talk about random tag teams? Matt Hardy and Andrade El Idolo. Yeah, Andrade Hardy Family Office.
But let's talk about this very weird placement they have in this faction. It's Matt Hardy, Andrade El Idolo, and Isaiah Cassidy.
One half of Private Party.
Why? Because I'm going to spoil this right now. Mark Quinn shows up in the match.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you make it Andrade and Private Party?
And the Butcher and the Blade, they both show up. Like,
I don't understand why AEW likes taking random members of tag teams and pairing them up with other people. If Mark Quinn is right there, just put Private Party on the show. That bugs the shit out of me.
It does, but they're going up against the TNT champion Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Sting, as Tony Schiavone would say. I'm working on it. I'm really working on a Tony Schiavone impression, viewers. Bear with me. It's Sting! We're just going to do Tony Schiavone impressions for the rest of the show. But what we have here is just fucking chaos. Like, as Joker Sting would say, everything becomes chaos. Wow!
I really wasn't expecting much out of this match, but I had a good time with this match.
It was fucking really wild. Fun. These guys were all over the place.
But like I was saying, partway through the match, Mark Quinn shows up, and Private Party start double teaming Sammy Guevara, I think.
They do silly string outside.
They do silly string on the barricade, and I'm just like, I really wish Private Party was in this match, not just Isaiah Cassidy.
Yeah.
But, anywho, I digress.
Just sub Matt out.
The Blade come out.
I mean, no disrespect to deleting Matt from this hypothetical scenario, no pun intended, but like Andrade and Private Party just feels so much more uniform. It sounds so much more uniform, but anyway, that might just be OCD talking, but this match got really wild towards the end, didn't it? Sammy Guevara goes up there with Zay, as Tony Schiavone was calling him, Isaiah Cassidy, and they're on the top of the set. Sammy Guevara hits a fucking Spanish fly off one of the tunnels.
I was so scared after that spot,
dude.
Because I immediately got some bad flashbacks to All Out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Sammy Guevara's head smacked one of the tables, and I thought he was out cold. I saw Aubrey Edwards checking on him, and I was waiting for her to throw up the X. because that was scary.
PTSD. Well, I mean, that was the last man standing match he had with Matt Hardy. And yes, ironically enough,
match.
I mean, it's the same fucking thing. They both suck.
Last man standing match is a pretty good match.
No, they're not. No, they're not. We're not going to stop. But it's kind of ironic that Matt Hardy was in this match now. The more and more I think about it, but even more insane. Matt Hardy and Sting go through the rafters, and they're fighting. Darby Allin and Andrade have a big, gigantic tower of tables underneath the rafters. Darby Allin escapes. Andrade is laying down on the tables. You have a 63-year-old man and Sting going up on the railing, jumping off through all these tables, and Andrade El Idolo, and I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? But, I mean...
the fuck does Sting...
How is he still alive?
How did he do this?
I don't know. It's going on 63 now, I want to say. And the crowd, deservedly so, chants "You still got it" at the old man. And it was great. I mean, this is probably what the match is going to be most remembered for, if I'm being honest. If I'm thinking back on the whole year 2022 Revolution, what I'm going to remember from this show mainly, Sting jumping off the rafters at an age he should not be doing it. But god damn it, he was going to do it anyway. And, you know, more power to him. I thought it was awesome. The crowd deservedly chanted "You still got it" at him. But back to the ring, it's down to Darby Allin versus Matt Hardy, and Matt goes for the twist of hate, as Excalibur called it. Wanted to break Darby Allin's poor neck, as if he didn't do it in that weird video package that he had, where he drives a SUV into a motorhome during a funeral.
I don't get it.
What the fuck was that?
That was so weird.
And then his uncle Sting shows up to pick him up from the funeral and say, "It's showtime."
Yeah.
Like, it does
not matter.
Doesn't make any sense.
Random match in the world. Darby Allin has to do these videos for every single pay-per-view.
Well, I mean, if Darby Allin's into film, I mean, more power to him. I'm not going to stop him from pursuing other passions that he has, but, like, it didn't make sense. But
very, yeah.
It's very, in a match with Matt Hardy, it felt very broken to me.
Very.
Anyway, Matt goes for the twist of hate with Darby's head wrapped around a chair, and then Darby hits a scorpion death drop through the chair, and I'm like, fucking that's it. Pin him right there. But then Darby goes to the top rope, and he fucks up the coffin drop, completely misses it, and then he pins Matt Hardy after that. I'm like, the finish was so fucked up.
Opposite to the top rope and did the coffin drop there. But no, he decided to do it 3/4 of the way from the ring. And now I'm hearing rumors that Matt Hardy refused to take the coffin drop.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
doubt that, but maybe that's why it happened. But then again, you could have just thrown Isaiah Cassidy in his position.
If that's the case, fuck you, Matt. Come on. You had one job. Just lay down and take the cover from the kid. Like, put him over.
Maybe
it's not that hard.
Jeff to get there.
I mean, you know that's what's going to happen, though, right? You know we're going to have Willow. You know we're going to have the Broken Hardys.
Girl.
And then they'll fade away and classify themselves as obsolete when they're ready to be inducted into the Hall of Fame in about 5 years. But anywho, what we have is a wild 6-man tornado match. It's about, I don't know, maybe 3 1/4. I had fun with it. I mean, it's not going to be the best match in the world, but that finish really docked a lot of points off of this match for me. I really wanted to love this match, but alas, here we are. I just enjoyed it. Sting's bump was fucking crazy. Never do that again. Never have me worry.
No.
But, oh man, in any case, a match that I hope happens over and over again after this crowd reaction. Our main event, Tomas.
Here we go. It's the Battle of the Atoms. It's Hangman Adam Page defending his AEW World title against Adam Cole, baby.
Yep.
And first off, Adam Cole comes out with some very interesting ring attire, which you really appreciated.
I loved it. Adam Cole just became my new favorite wrestler ever with the Halo-inspired gear. He comes out in a Spartan armor jacket, and he's still doing the Adam Cole boom thing, and it's still Halo gear underneath, and I'm like, this fucking guy. I mean, how can you not cheer for him? I mean, how is one of the nicest guys, legitimately one of the nicest guys in the locker room, portrayed as such a douchebag on TV? How is that possible? Like, I still have no idea how he does it.
It's great.
That just speaks volumes about his talent. And he comes out with a dorky attire like that. The crowd, of course, chants cowboy shit at Adam Page in return. And then I
don't want to spoil this match, but I
go ahead.
Intuition.
You can spoil it.
That Adam wins. Adam wins the match.
The crowd noticed this, and they were having so much fucking fun with this. They started chanting, "Let's go,
Adam! Fuck him up!"
They started chanting, "Let's go, Adam!" right at the top. Fuck him up, Adam! Fuck him up. This is Adam later on in the match instead of "This is awesome." They start chanting, "Let's go, Adam! Adam sucks," which is fucking great. And then even at the beginning of the match, they were like, I mean, even like the Hangman was looking around and like he was trying so hard not to laugh at this crowd. He was really, really trying. But I mean, it's so great. I want every main event to be Adam Page versus Adam Cole now, just because of these chants. Like, fucking love it. I mean, I'm sure it would get tiresome after a while, and I'd be like, "Fuck, here we go again." Redundancy, but
Adam versus Adam.
Yeah, Adam versus Adam. This will not be the last time. This will not be the last time. Let's go, Adam. But I mean, this is just again, just look at the two guys on the graphic on screen. These are two fantastic professional wrestlers. Hangman Adam Page, phenomenal world champion. Adam Cole is one of the best wrestlers in the world in his own right, and nobody gives him enough credit as being such.
This is Hangman Page's first title defense on a pay-per-view, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The first thing that I noticed is that they reenacted the spot from the takeover where Adam Cole fought Ricochet, and Page
it was so beautiful.
And landed right into a fucking super kick.
Yep, he goes for that Orihara moonsault, and then it goes for that cowboy shit style moonsault, and Adam Cole hits that super kick. Crisp as day. Beautiful. Beautiful professional wrestling here. This is a quintessential world heavyweight title match on pay-per-view, I would say. I mean, there were some points. I mean, I love Adam Cole. I don't think he was winning the title here. I don't think he wins the title until after his feud with Kenny Omega wraps up, the inevitable feud with Omega. But this was just glorious. It was a great pay-per-view main event. Adam Cole is hinting at the Panama Sunrise all throughout this fucking match. And Page, of course, he's hinting at the buckshot lariat all throughout this match. Doesn't hit it until the very end, which we'll get to. But there was a point Adam Cole... I think this is the point where reDRagon comes out to the ring. They basically are doing a distraction. Hangman Page turns right around into a Panama Sunrise on the floor, and I could hear the thud, like, sickening. Absolutely sickening. And then back in the ring, there's a Panama Sunrise. He hits the last shot. I don't care what the t-shirt says. I'm still going to call it the last shot just because that's a cooler name, I think. But for a finisher, at least. Well, boom is fine.
You can literally say, "Here comes the boom."
Yeah, but I mean, like the WWE announcers say the boom all the time during the fucking replays, and I always get annoyed by that, so that might be why. But
at least Vic Joseph says it cool.
Yeah.
And then he turned around and boom, hits a clothesline.
Yeah, Vic Joseph is better than Michael Cole though, so at least there's that. I mean, we're not talking about WWE. Yeah, Adam Cole, Panama Sunrise, last shot, and there's a lot of really great near falls here. There was Adam Cole doesn't take the knee pad off until the second last shot, and then there is another 2 count there, which is awesome. So reDRagon tries to run interference again. Adam Cole hits a low blow into a Panama Sunrise. Hangman Page is kicking out of every fucking thing you can imagine here, including a belt shot, which is, again, a lot of interference going into this match, as you'll notice, kind of a big annoyance that we both have. But what we have is reDRagon trying to run interference and all the Dark Order minus -1, which kind of sounds redundant if you ask me. All the Dark Order runs out. They chase reDRagon to the back. It leads to Hangman Page hitting a buckshot. Then he hits the boom, which I always love. Give me more wrestler finisher steals. I need that in my life. Adam Page needs to hit more last shots in his matches. His arsenal's great as it is. The cowboy shit arsenal. You gotta love it. Our world champion Hangman Page. But hits the last shot, and then he hits the buckshot, a second one, and then that puts Adam Cole away. The result was never in any doubt, and Hangman Page retains. I don't know who
Still
takes
a
it
good
off
match.
of him after this point. It was
fantastic match.
fantastic
This
main
is just
event.
the beginning for Hangman Page. I don't want to see anyone take the title off of him anytime soon. I want Page to run with this title as, I don't want to say, for as long as possible. Just until it's obvious who's going to take it off of him. And right now,
totally
let Page relish in his title reign.
There's no
Dare I
obvious.
say, let him bask in his glory.
Oh my God! No, is it gonna be Keith Lee? Do you think it's gonna be Keith Lee?
No, I mean it'd be cool.
Too soon to
but,
tell.
That'd be a good opportunity to throw that in there.
Yeah, that would be a good opportunity to push a new talent that you got there, as opposed to the obvious answer of CM Punk being your next world champion. But
no, thanks, I'm good.
Listen, I wouldn't mind that, especially if Danielson's not going to be the world champion after Hangman Page. But I'll take what I can get. But Revolution, fucking great show. AEW always knows how to put them on. I mean, we're tired after these shows, but I feel like Tomas, it's always worth it, right?
It's
totally
definitely worth it.
Absolutely worth the money that I paid $50 for on Bleacher Report, of course, because you got to do it on Bleacher Report now, because apparently I can't order it on Fight in this region where we are in the world. That's nice. Can we have a streaming service, AEW? Is it too early to ask for that?
HBO Max.
HBO Max. Yeah, I would love that. I would love that too, but
please confirm the rumors.
I'm volleying between two scores, but I think the wrestling was just too good on this show. I'm going with an 8.75. 8.75 for Revolution.
I think an 8.5 is fair. This
yeah,
was a very good show.
I think the wrestling was phenomenal. Definitely watch it for the dog collar match and Moxley versus Danielson if you're just going to pick two. And a close third would be the main event, of course, but I feel like the reason why I don't hold this in as high regard as All Out or hell, even Full Gear, Revolution is pretty uneventful. Like the past year, like last year's Full Gear, last year's All Out, of course, 2021, what I'm referring to. Revolution 2022, you don't have any title changes. You don't have any big surprises necessarily, except for, if you want to count Shane Strickland as a large surprise. No disrespect to Swerve, of course, but this isn't like where you had Adam Cole and Danielson coming out one after the other at the end of All Out. Not a surprise on that level. You didn't have Hangman Page finally winning the big one at the end. He's just retaining the title here now. It's well established that he's the top guy. It's still a good show, but it's not very eventful compared to some of the other pay-per-views we've gotten recently.
Agreed.
Yeah, but any final thoughts on Revolution other than that?
Nope, it was a very solid show. I very much enjoyed myself, and hoping for more and just hoping for a little more diversity from AEW. Like I said, I think it's time to start getting away from the Bucks and the Omegas and the Elite stuff, and start pushing some of your new talent. We got a really good crop of talent on AEW, and nice to see some new faces.
With Cody Rhodes gone and maybe making an appearance at WrestleMania, adrenaline inside my soul. I am Cody fucking Rhodes. No, there's no Cody Rhodes anymore. So, but yeah, if you guys enjoyed this discussion, smash that subscribe button as well as that like button on your way out. That would be tremendous help. From me and Tomas specifically, what you can look forward to, we're going to look at No Way Out 2000 for sure. We're going to continue 2003 retrospective. Of course, you got the most stupendous two-night WrestleMania in history coming up at the beginning of April. So, oh man, I don't know how much I'm looking forward to this year's WrestleMania, but you know what? It's still WrestleMania. We get it every year. Yeah, there's still time
to make it good.
Still time to make it a good show. Hell, you got Edge versus AJ Styles, which admittedly is a bigger match than Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Don't try and force feed that, WWE. It's not the biggest WrestleMania match in history.
Nope.
But yeah, anyway. I'll save that rant for another time. That's your teaser, my friends. But
yes.
Yeah, stay tuned, my friends, and see you guys for the next one.